Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast, where we explore how technology impacts, improves, and enables the customer experience that we all expect from businesses and organizations that we engage or work with. Don't worry, we only keep it to 20 minutes, so hopefully you'll find it interesting. Thanks very much.
Welcome to the Self-Service Generation podcast with me, Gavin.
And me, Steve. Hi.
How you doing, Steve? You having a good week?
Not too bad. I'm trying to swerve COVID. It's a nightmare. Just everybody's dropping like flies.
I haven't successfully swerved anything. It seems that all these things seem to catch me up in the most inconvenient of moments.
No, you've been through the mill last couple of weeks, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. It's one of those moments when I'm quite glad that this is a audio podcast, and then in the back of my mind, I remember actually we do put these videos on YouTube, so there's no real way.
Yes, that's right. So unfortunately, everybody's going to see you kind of looking a little bit bedraggled.
Haggard.
No, I didn't want to use the word.
I'll happily use the word. I've seen myself on camera. That's the challenge we're doing. That's the biggest challenge we're doing. We're doing general calls online. There's permanently this reflection of you looking back, and you go, "Is that what people are looking at?" I feel sorry for these people. But my challenges don't end there. Obviously, I'm having current challenges with my phone provider at the moment as well. So there's some interesting things going on, which might loop back to our topic for today, which is probably something I should try and actually not get back on track, but actually bring us on track to start off with.
Yeah, that's right. Let's introduce the subject of our podcast today, eh?
So today we're focusing on the topic of cancellations. It's a massive subject matter for many organizations who work in businesses which are kind of offer basically service-based businesses, which are mainly on a subscription type model. This could be for any sorts of businesses, whether you're B2B and B2C. I think our focus a lot of the time when we have these sorts of discussions generally be on a B2C type basis. So phone contracts, TV contracts and things like that, which obviously is quite a good subject matter. And for us, it's important because a lot of these relationships are handled either over the phone or traditionally handled over the phone. But I think we're seeing a lot more of this stuff being handled both kind of online as well and through other methods.
No, that's right. I suppose the deal is you've got to try and figure out what the context is. So why is somebody cancelling? Normally, that's one of these filters that you have when you're talking to your phone provider or whatever it may be, and you're realizing that you're either paying too much or that you're not getting the service you want or something's missing in the whole thing. That's the reason you cancel. Insurance is no different, so. We had car insurance is a classic for this, and it's usually price, and it's usually something in that order. And different sectors will have to deal with this differently, because you've got to understand is the cancellation an opportunity, or do you keep brand loyalty by making that a simple process that you haven't got to battle with the business? How many battles do you have trying to cancel, but you're not? You are. And then you kind of, the phone thing is a classic. You're paying a little bit too much, or you've got too much data, or you're not using some stuff you're paying for, or whatever it may be. But to get that adjusted or a good deal on it, you have to threaten to cancel. And that's crazy, Matt.
Which is funny, because if you're looking at a persona type and you're looking at kind of what action people would take, usually if you're looking at an action, you go, well, this person wants to cancel. That's their ambition. That's what they're looking to achieve if they're going to go through that type of user flow. But actually, when you do the real research and you really understand the reason behind it, chances are it's not. Chances are they want to cancel for another reason. That's then an opportunity to help resolve that challenge and resolve that problem. And then the whole conversation around, do you change the way that you do that cancellation, manage that cancellation based off what the context around that cancellation is? So is it that you're coming to the end of your contract and you're like, actually, I'm paying way too much,
Yeah.
And it's like, actually, sorry, if you want to go move over to this package, it's only for new customers.
Oh yeah.
So that,
Yeah. That's
which, you know,
classic.
with certain providers, that's going to be the case.
Yeah.
So therefore, you have to then, you're right. You have to go through that process of, okay, fine. If you're not going to get price, I'm going to cancel. You go for the cancellations team. You say, yeah, I actually want to cancel. And as a
Yeah.
customer, you then take the risk of going through that process of trying to almost renegotiate. So your purpose in that is trying to, get the cost center right. Whereas in
Yeah.
your other case, it's kind of case actually the service isn't right. You've got too much on the package that you want to manage. And a lot of providers are really good in regards to having the ability for you to make those adjustments online. Some aren't, most aren't. And as a phone call and as a process, it's trying to work out is there an element of improving that customer experience and that customer service and enabling that self-service so the customer doesn't get to the point of needing to be able to cancel. There is an element of putting friction in there on purpose as well. So there's sometimes friction is needed in order to kind of work out, actually, is it worth me doing that? But also, I guess that's what they rely on to some extent, is putting the friction in place to be like, actually, is it worth it? So some people will stick and stay with the package that they're on, because actually making that call or making that inquiry of change is more difficult, seems to be perceived to be more difficult than actually the value gained from cancelling, or value gained from kind of negotiating.
But if it's not a good customer experience, I mean, look, that's poor, isn't it? You know, it's not helping your customer if you've got to have an argument to escalate the opportunity of what you're trying to do. It just doesn't make sense, and it's not building loyalty. You've got to, but you're relying on maybe some background killer service that you've got. That's the reason that people aren't cancelling, but that's very much sitting on your laurels, because only somebody else has only got to do the same level of service as you have, and then they'll all go to that other people because they're better.
And that's competitive. That's the nature of the marketplace, isn't it? There are some providers, and we've had discussions about it. There are some providers which offer, and it's not generally. It seems to be that the customer service actually isn't great with those providers because they offer a level of service, or their service is the product itself is better than the others, and that allows them to get away with the poor level of customer service.
But it's never going to last. It's not a thing that lasts. Somebody will come in and they'll replace it. They'll just be on the level playing field, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, why are we losing customers? And you'll move over. This, and we don't suppose we want to mention the brand, but we know that it's we try not to call out brands too much, and but that is a classic in the way that you've got this major phone provider that is currently leading in their product, but it's not going to take long for the others to come up, and offer us the same coverage, the same level of data provision and stuff like that, and then you just go, oh, I'm fed up with these guys, and I've been with them a long time, But anyway,
and we're seeing that, but that's the point. Back down to the point of what we're talking about with that cancellations piece, is that if you've been in with that provider for a long period of time, they know if they can have that conversation with you, or they have that data available to them, they know that you're a loyal customer. And if that process of cancelling, or understanding why you're cancelling so you don't cancel, and they can do that resolution piece, if they can get that right, then you'll be with them a long period of time. If they just let you cancel or don't do that right, they've lost a customer who has been with them for a long period of time, and they're never going to win that customer back, because that customer is loyal and they've been burnt. They'll go with another provider, and they'll stay with that other provider potentially until they get burnt again, but they'll never return until they run out of providers, which ultimately, depending on that lifespan of that customer, might never happen. So
that's right.
The resolution is ultimately really important, and what we are seeing a little bit more online at the moment. I don't know. I'm working on that, on doing a Dark UX blog post based off the Dark UX podcast that we did previously. And And one of the areas I'm looking at is that cancellation process. So we're starting to see organizations which offer online services. So whether we're talking about audiobooks type subscriptions, or whether we're talking about live streaming subscriptions, mirror the call conversations to some extent in the digital kind of online cancellation experience. So if you're going to go on to a well-known podcast company, which is also owned by a well-known shopping company, and you go to cancel your service, you go to cancel, and they'll go, "Are you sure you want to cancel? How about you just pause your subscription?" And you go, "No," and then you click, "Oh no, I want to cancel." So they go, "Actually, is it money? Is it the monetary reason why you're doing it?" And then you'll press the, "No, I want to cancel." Then they'll send you another screen, and it'll be like, "Oh, did you know you also get this benefit, this benefit, this benefit? How about you can carry on subscription, but you get this month free?" Because they know if you forget about it, you'll carry on. And they send you through these multiple screens, which will be similar to the dialogue or the conversation someone might have with you when you're calling up, and it will be their means they can use to be able to keep you as a customer. And we talk about this from a dark UX point of view, because it's about kind of making it more difficult to go through that cancellation process. I think this probably more sits in that grey area, because they are offering customer benefit to some extent. They're trying to understand what the customer need is and going, actually, is this your need? Here's a benefit actually if you do stay. So there is more of a grey element than being a purely dark UX. But it's interesting to see that experience mirrored. But also by doing that, is that an opportunity lost as well?
Well, I think there is. Depends on where you're at. So the insurers have done a different thing, or they've been forced to do a different thing. So classic car insurance stuff was that your renewal on car insurance was probably higher every year for some unknown reason, and you go on an aggregator like CTM or Compare the Market or whoever, and confused, and go and ask them what's the current rate, and you get a much lower rate. Then you go back to them and go, "I've got a much lower rate," and then they go, "Oh, well, it's a new customer rate," or whatever. And they, so you go round in this whole circle of going, "Well, why am I paying more for my renewal?" All this type of stuff. But the FCA have actually forced insurers now to offer the same price to existing customers as new customers. So that means that a new acquisition is probably more expensive. So if you're going to switch around, then it's more expensive. But your renewal's probably pretty much even. And I found that now, since that stuff came in, and they knew it was coming in, because it came in the beginning of this year. And what I've found is that actually my renewal is probably pretty good on cars. Got a couple of cars, and the renewals have been reasonably, really good. And actually, I'm not saving much by switching to a different provider, because they've been evening the level playing fields. So guess what? I kept the insurance with the provider I had, because for the sake of £5, I wasn't bothered, and they were doing all right, and they were easy to communicate with. So I stayed.
And that's the thing, is that those, and they have it should be the way that it works. That it should be built that way, especially with those sectors where it's so easy to switch. It's so easy to find a better deal somewhere else and move on to a better deal. It's so easy for customers to be flippant and to be able to make that change. Because car insurance, it's one of those things that you never actually want to be able to use as a service. Right. You don't really want to have to use it. But you obviously you need it and want it to be there when you ultimately do.
It's a requirement, so we have to. And there's good money in it. I mean, so it's the biggest insurance money generator, is because it's a required thing. But they can do it really well, and the cost of acquisition of a new client is significant. You have to pay the aggregators significant monies to get a referred lead into an insurer. So, all that money is lost money if you don't keep the customer. So, you've got to be careful. But also, they are the ones where you go, "Well, I haven't used the insurance," exactly like you're saying. You haven't used them. So what you do is you don't necessarily know how good they were, except in the cancellation process, because you've found a cheaper one and you have switched this time. You make that painful, and you have to wait on the phone for hours. What are you going to do? It's nuts, because the big reason that people have cancelling their insurance normally is because they found one, and found an alternative, and they've already taken it out. And they want to cancel the other one to make sure there's no overlap or payment's been taken on your renewal. And we did a we were having a conversation with one of the big major insurers, and they were saying that their contact center had been telling them that they had good success on capturing renewals and converting that cancellation journey. But actually, when they digitally monitored it and went through the whole process, they were only saving 3% of the people that wanted to cancel. So that whole cancellation journey was costing them a fortune. So the conversation was, well, shall we automate it? Because the value to us is low. The chance of converting them is low as well. So we're better off finding out what they are, making it a smooth process, hoping they come back later, and make it a nice, easy, oh, don't worry about it, that's fine, these things happen kind of conversation instead. So
it's back down
what
to
we
how
would
we
do.
started. It's back down to how we just started the conversation, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
Understanding the context of why the cancellation is happening. Are
yeah,
they trying to cancel because they found a better deal? Are they
yeah,
trying to cancel because they found a better deal and they've already committed?
yeah, yeah,
Because if they found a better deal and already committed, like there's no point trying to resell that person. They've already committed, already signed up to a new contract for another year. So you're
yeah,
ultimately wasting your time. If they
yeah,
found another deal but they haven't committed, there's an
yeah,
opportunity there to be able to manage that customer, have a negotiation on the contract and give them a better deal. So there's
yeah,
higher, you can then increase your conversion rates to the people that you're having conversations with, because you're dealing with the people that you can actually convert rather than those that you definitely can't. So that's why understanding that context is really key to make
yeah.
sure you're increasing that efficiency from an organizational point of view in the business.
So I suppose the key is trying to see how you can improve that. If you understand the context, or he's trying to understand the context, what's the win? How can you improve that? Um, if you start automating part of that process, especially for the low retention industries, then you're accurately gathering that information. You're not anecdotally gathering the information from a contact center that says, oh, well, we saved quite a lot. you know uh you're getting the accurate stuff. If you can automate a conversation that doesn't have the value, so do voice automation so people can phone, and they can actually do have a conversation with a bot that goes, okay, well, why are you cancelling? We're going to make it easy. There's no wait time for that bot, so you haven't got it. You're not in some sort of queue. There's none of that going on. But you're getting you get a very accurate digital response, even though it's an analog communication. But you've then got the opportunity of either going straight through a cancellation process, because you are that high churn industry, cancellations don't renew, then let's not worry about that, but let's make it easy so that they'll come back. Or you can actually, now with the power of the GPT stuff, you can actually have an escalating conversation that you train GPT to handle, because these large language models understand the context of what the conversation is going, so you can be very smart with it, and still do some of the slight friction, because there's a business need, or well, we can pull them back if we do X, Y, and Z, if we give them the power to do that, and you give the robot the power to do it.
And you can understand that as well. You can see kind of what you can store, save, and see, and automatically analyze the conversations that have happened. Where the success rate has been in retention,
That's
but also
right.
again back down to that point, capture and understand the reasons why and the context around why the cancellation is happening as well, and use that to feed back in to the service level that you're offering.
That's
to
right.
then reduce the cancellation happening in the first
Yeah.
place.
So you stop it at the front, and one of that big conversation we were having with the insurer is that they were also that was their principle. So if we can understand why this is happening, then we can make our product better so that people don't cancel because the product's better, so it just works. And that's the better world for everybody to be in, not so much for compare the market and confuse, because a lot of business will go through them if you're in insurance, but it is very good for the customer and actually quite good for the business. Because they've got a better level of understanding and they're providing better service. So everybody's winning here,
And there's a great amount of evidence that says that obviously if you can increase loyalty, has a massive amount of benefit from an organization from a customer retention point of view as well. And the beauty of ease of service is a massive trigger and a massive benefit from that. If you can increase the level and the ability for customers to self-serve, you offer that a level that allows the customer to be able to update their policy or be able to adapt their service at their needs. You understand that the friction point here is actually, I don't need yes, okay, I need to be able to add roaming in for a month because I'm going away for a month, but actually I only need it for that month. I don't want to be paying for a year. Give me the ability to adapt my phone policy, my phone contract to the needs as I need as and when. The ability to add services as and when I need to. From a car point of view, ability to I don't have to make a phone call. I can go online. I can update. I can add a new car. Say that I've sold a car. I can update my policy as and when I need to. I can reduce and modify my cover around my financial situation if I need to. All these things which are kind of allow me to be able to do the things I want to do without having to sit on the phone for half an hour is going to be brilliant. Obviously, now with the technology we've got available, those phone call times are being reduced down so much because we're now able to use technology to be able to mean that we have zero kind of wait times on calls, which is brilliant. And that gives the people who don't want to self-serve online the ability to be able to call up and get the support they need. And we always talk about this, give people the ability to service themselves online if they need to, be able to self-serve, but also offer a solution for those that ultimately they still don't feel comfortable with that and still want to be able to make a phone call, be open and available to people.
And also, not everybody's going to be serviced by a bot or an automated call or something like that. But you're then reducing the amount of calls that can be, and then the contact center that's still in place is not at capacity all the time. It's got a reasonable flow going through, so they can be better and more responsive and not be up against it all the time to go, you've got to turn this call, you can only spend X amount of time on a call, you're not closing your calls quick enough, in that kind of method, because you've got so much backlog and you've got to reduce queues. The queues should be minimal to go, hand off from the bot, and the bot goes, well, that's okay, let me put you through to one of the team and they'll be able to help you further from this. Now I understand everything about what that is. So it doesn't have to be the whole call, it can be a piece of it, but it just smooths that whole bit through. And the cancer, and I suppose circling all the way back around to start of the podcast, is that the art of this cancellation is that it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's an opportunity to do something good if you don't have too much friction, or you make it easy to do, because that then there's a good acquisition later, and your brand perception and everything about that bit is pretty good. You've done something right, but you understand what you could do better next time, and you can also maybe save them before they leave, because you understand them a bit better, and you've got to that point quite quickly, which is really powerful.
So some really good takeaways there. I think that's quite a useful. I think that's a quite useful episode. I think we've done quite well to come full circle.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We'll see.
But
we'll see from a listener's point of view.
It's a really negative subject, isn't it? But I think there's a lot of positives to take out of it.
Yeah, and I think we have. There are massive amount of opportunities there to be sort. Obviously, the best situation is to improve the service to a level where people don't want to cancel in the first place. If they want to cancel, work out if it's a zero-sum game client. If there's a zero-sum game, let them make it really easy for them to go. If there's an opportunity there for them to convert a current customer, work out how you can service and look after them, so that and then ultimately if they leave, make it so that actually it's an easy, they want to come back.
Yeah, exactly.
It's simple. Simples.
Yeah, as they say.
I get in trouble for that.
Yeah, I don't know what you were referring to. Was that confused? Was it? Okay. Right. So, thanks very much, everybody. Well, I hope you found that useful, and look out for all other podcasts and associated ones to this as well. So we do have the Dark UX podcast, understanding your customers and get yourself chat ready and stuff like that. They're all kind of related to this. So look back through the series and take a look.
Brilliant. Thanks everyone for your time. Thanks, Steve. Good to chat.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers now. Bye-bye.